gentlemen.
Uh-oh.
It's time for the Early Bird Special. Bringing you the best stories from the world of sports and sports entertainment. Now, here are your hosts, Sparky and Burdick.
And welcome back to the Early Bird Special. I'm Chris Burdick, and with me is KG. Sparky taking the day off. It is the holidays as Kimball is presenting because he is very, very festive. Well done, sir. Love the tree. Love everything.
Thank you,
it
good
looks
sir.
very good. Yeah, I'm assuming this is your living room.
Oh yeah, we out here. We just out here, big chilling in the living room. Holiday festivities going on. Got some cocoa on the stove, man. You know what I mean? Just alluding to what we're getting to, which is the state of affairs of AEW today. And unfortunately, I'm gonna have to be the Grinch that stole your wrestling Christmas on this episode. But I digress no more.
Well, I mean,
hand it back over to you, good sir.
The Christmas collision for AEW was this past week, and we have At World's End coming up on Saturday, one of their major PLEs or pay-per-views. I guess they're still pay-per-views for AEW. I don't know if they call them paid live events on that side, but it is what it is. So we needed to give you guys an update of what was going on in AEW because we've been talking a lot of WWE, but we have not gotten to actually dive into this. And I know me and Kimball dove into it a little bit in our last video, what was going on, but there's a ton that we have to go down in our comments. And I want to preface this real quick because we're going to get really critical. Let's be honest about it. We will get very, very critical. We are much more WWE fans, but we both have a love for AEW, being fans of when it started. And all of this, and we're just not incredibly enthused with the route in which it's going, and rightfully so. And we're not alone from what the ratings are showing. And I mean, I know we talked about this off the air here, Kimball, but I cannot believe that ratings for AEW, and actually I shouldn't say I cannot believe, but it is pretty incredible to me that since the signings of guys like Will Ospreay and so many others. I mean, you had Bobby Lashley sign this year. Mercedes Moné came in. You have a lot of big name talents that have come to AEW in the past 2 years alone, but the ratings don't seem to be going anywhere. And I got a couple here that I'm going to read off, but let's just stick to Dynamite, that being their number one show. And it is probably where you see most of the action happen, in my opinion, is mostly on Dynamite, maybe on Collision every once in a while. But quarter one numbers started at about 810,000 viewers a night. But going into quarter four, which is this quarter, they have dropped all the way to 613,000. Now, to give you a little bit of a context here, WWE still dominates the ratings board across the board, but their lowest show, which would be NXT, gets around 650,000 viewers a week.
Which
and
is that's still technically, yes, a third brand, but they're developmental.
Absolutely.
So if they're developmental, can pull more consistent numbers than a whole nother company's prime time slots,
right?
There's some serious trouble there.
Right. And that's actually the first question I was going to present to you, my friend, because my biggest point that I wanted to start with here is it has been a great year for AEW in terms of signings and shows and stuff like that. But realistically speaking, the ratings are not showing at all. So what, in your opinion, is the biggest fault?
Before we go there, I think we have to take it back. Well, let me just say this. It's not just a WWE thing. It's an entire scope of the wrestling business that I'm going to speak of. It's good to have competition, if you want to say that, but just more business around in this type of entertainment field. Because think about when WWE was just operating by itself, unchallenged, no anything else. That was just the only show in town. It started to hurt the product. So having a different type of product is good. That's how originally AEW was, the conceptualized idea was we're the WWE alternative for you to tune in and experience something that's not like this product. Well, unfortunately, it seems like over the years, we've seen somehow this metamorphosis into them regurgitating just bad WWE ideas with no storyline attached to them, with banger after banger match thrown in between, but with no development to these characters. Not any real promotion slated, like how we would see products from a WWE entertainment entity. or commercial fan base. It's more so like they appeal to the diehards, the super indie fans, which not to knock that at all, but aren't really going to spend the product money on, oh, I want a shirt, I want a title belt, I'm going to travel to this show or anything like that. More so those that'll just wait for the show to come to them, you know? But how that's reflecting on their numbers and viewership is based on the product. It's not a good product, plain and simple. Right now, it sucks. But the signings, we have hope for. The time changes or the pay-per-views, because they're not PLEs, they're actually pay-per-views, I think kind of rub people the wrong way price-wise in this day and age where everything in content streaming is bundled and more so made affordably to the consumer. But is anybody really gonna have, oh, this is my favorite AEW superstar, wrestler, since they're pro wrestlers over there. I don't want to confuse the two product brands, but and really run down their whole main roster name by name and say, yes, I'm totally satisfied with what I've seen. Whereas we could kick back and watch a WWE product, a Monday Night Raw, a SmackDown, a NXT, and watch it as the show it's being presented as. We accept that. We've digested that. We've had 30 years to do that. AEW has had 5, and they've kind of went the route of WCW already and burned off of a lot of good energy that people were expected to have when watching this product like we used to. I'm not going to slate it back anymore towards the leaving of CM Punk and Cody Rhodes, but it probably even started before there with injury after injury, Kenny Omega leaving, Adam Cole, and then Adam Copeland, MJF going off to do movies. You're not even seeing some of their main signees that were initially in year one that drew a huge fan base and audience to swell AEW's viewership. Miro, where the hell is Miro? You know, we still got this Penta and his brother, the Lucha Brothers. You've got the House of Black over there twiddling their thumbs. They've got great people, but a litany of injuries has plagued their roster. But in that same time, we've seen people like Swerve Strickland make themselves a made man, given the opportunity. And that's just an example of someone given the opportunity that they weren't given previously to showcase that they can over time grow into a role of being a main eventer. And that's great. That's what other corporations, what other entertainment facilities and products like AEW are for. We're not saying, oh, do away with AEW. I hope it just burns to fucking hell. No, you need that around. Iron sharpens iron, so to speak. You know that old adage? And even though WWE is the sharpest blade in the drawer, it still helps to have an AEW around so other wrestlers can get the experience on working on television, knowing where a hard cam is, the ups and downs of travel, how to book, gear, meeting people, the networking that goes in within this whole scene translates on TV with these wrestlers giving a good match or just phoning it home. And a lot of those matches don't look coordinated. I know it's real time, it's real life. Some things aren't going to go right. But when you've got people that really give a fuck about what they're putting on in front of you and on television, it translates different. The performances translate more so into where somebody's going to be talking about that. It's going to be a highlight. It's going to be reproduced and pushed out there on social media, and it's going to draw interest in the product. And we're not seeing that with AEW, and it's showing in the numbers week after week, storyline after storyline that's non-existent.
And I agree with that to a point. I think there are some matchups that you do see that, because I mean, watching Collision,
they surprise you. Yeah. Oh, wait. Yep. A lot of people might not know. If they didn't see on X, Twitter, Tony Khan made the announcement today that Friday will be the last Rampage till further notice, whether it's rebranded. They've got to deal with, I believe, Max. So we might see it reemerge or some type of version of AEW reemerge on the streaming platforms, HBO Max and whatnot.
From what I understand, because the WB deal allows them to have 2 shows running at least on TNT and TBS until 2028. So I'm assuming that means Dynamite and Collision will most likely not be leaving cable. and every single one of them is supposed to hit the max streaming services going forward until I believe the same year. But I think they believe that WB is fighting the third show, and I honestly kind of agree with it. One of my biggest beefs when it comes to AEW, or at least the structure of the shows themselves, is the fact that we have too much. You need to structure and figure out your first two main shows before you can even think of a third one. And right now, as you've already stated, the writing for the first two hasn't been the greatest already. And you have all of this talent that's getting essentially watered down because they're not getting put into the right situation.
Yeah.
I think that WWE does a very good job in not only long-term storytelling, but they do a very good job at leaving you wanting more. You leave Raw and SmackDown, although kind of wishing you got more, but at the same time, you're excited to watch next week and what happens next. I feel like AEW does a good job at setting up some things, but then they kind of force feed you others. And that leads to a lot of problems. And I think that a big part of that is the fact that we have so many shows. And if you've ever been to an AEW event, they record these shows back to back to back. They just switch everything out.
Yeah.
And that is the way things work. I'm sorry, like if you don't know that's the way things happen.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animals.
Like say the entire time
that's the first bomb dropped on them tonight. The little minds are freaking out right now. What do you mean?
Well, I mean, they do disclose that on certain situations, that some of the cases, like this past week with Christmas Collision, everything was in New York. They were all in the same location, so it was very easy to see. But realistically speaking, you have to take that into account as well. And I know we've talked about this multiple times in other videos, but the abundance of championships or I guess pseudo championships as well, with the Dynamite Diamond Ring stuff and the Intercontinental and the International and the Continental Classic and a lot of other, very, I don't want to say ill prestigious, but we don't have any stories behind them. You know what I mean? Like there's way too much going on that is hard for the casual wrestling fan to follow. The diehard AEW fan will know exactly what's going on, but if you're somebody that's just sitting in on an AEW episode that your friend's watching, you have no idea whose title means what, who's the most prestigious, who's down here, kind of a thing. And you throw in the Ring of Honor championships at the same time, with Jericho running through as their champion, and all the triples and the tag team championships that they have as well. It's just really confusing for people to continue to watch.
None of it matters because the casual AEW fan can't even keep up with all of this.
No, that's what I'm saying.
I'm gonna say it clear as day, so people can never forget it if they have. With all these titles introduced, people are squandering an opportunity to make themselves. The title doesn't make the person makes the title. And that's something that's never going to fade away with professional wrestling in any platform. We don't know where a lot of these titles have their origin point in and what it means for who's carrying these titles. You can slap it on anybody, and if it just looks good, it looks good. But look what happens when you put the TNT title on Wardlow and then you book him like shit. Now, what does the TNT title mean on Jack Perry when he's having not the same match quality, energy, or intensity that got him the love of being a scapegoat or a problem child or anything that we see going on right now? That title is meaningless right now. So is the same thing going to happen to the Continental title? Is the same thing going to happen to the Dynamite Diamond Ring? Because if you're only bag to bet on is that AEW title with Jon Moxley right now, which a lot of people don't like the storyline and the direction of his whole thing going on right now, you're in fucking trouble. Yeah, so if you can keep introducing all the titles that you fucking want, and they look great, honestly, man, though whoever's making those belts, that craftsmanship is great, but it doesn't mean jack shit if you don't have the right person behind that title to enhance your product or division.
No, and I agree with you on that one, because that was going to be my next point. Is I feel that they're lacking homegrown talent. I know we mentioned
definitely
WCW as a big key here, because they are going that route where it seems like they just keep signing WWE guys for nostalgia reasons and trying to pull in their fans, ergo Bobby Lashley, Ricochet, Sheldon Benjamin, the list goes on and on. But And I realize WWE does the same thing. This is how the company works. This is how the industry works. These guys are going to go in between shows. It happens. But realistically speaking, I feel like AEW tries to cash in on that more than anybody.
Well,
And
AEW is go ahead, go right ahead.
no. I feel like that's a problem. I don't
AEW
feel
is
like that's a good
becoming
thing.
where either ex WWE guys go to get a check or to cool off.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And
it's
try to
that's what it
bounce
seems
back
to
into
be.
the industry or into their
Or
company.
or take for example Chris Jericho getting a lot of boos. He's starting to get the Big Show chant, the please retire chant, which is unjust. But at the same time, he's done everything he can do, and he feels like he is the Ocho, and he is one of the greatest of all time. And
I have
and
to give him that credit too.
whatever he's contributing to AEW should, I mean, honestly, should be appreciated. Look what he's doing for ROW. I mean ROH, and making sure that this generation of ROH wrestlers have some type of veteranship to get the rub from. ROH was known as one of the most prominent indie brands ever 20 years ago. It's where we got our Daniel Bryans, our CM Punks, our Seth Rollins. A lot of these guys came through ROH, man, and made a fucking name for themselves that launched them to more prominent indie platforms and eventually WWE. So I can understand the aesthetic and emotional attachment he has for it, and seeing the longevity of the product continue to march forward, but it's fucking terrible. I don't know what I was watching the other day. It was him and another older gentleman slapping the dog shit out of each other for like 15 minutes. I don't even want to be disrespectful about it with Chris Jericho, but this match got more time than certain matches on the card that could have benefited more so from it. But that's neither here nor there. What is what we're seeing with this sudden rush. WWE guys, it's not really sudden, but now it's more prominent because there's so many of them there. We've got already, let's see, Buddy Matthews, Aleister Black, Miro. Oh my God. Bobby Lashley. Well, basically the Hurt Business. That's like 6 guys already. Ricochet, 7 right there. Come on. Swerve. That's 8. You know, we can keep going. And eventually you'll run out of your homegrown talent being promoted on your brand, and especially your main event shows. That's going to rub the locker room bad, real bad, you know?
Well, at this point, like, who's left that is their homegrown outside of MJF?
I couldn't tell you because they're not giving the what happened to Powerhouse Hobbs? What happened to
Powerhouse does have a match at this. That's the one I was trying to remember. Powerhouse is going against
happened to Hook?
Kanoko.
We've lost all caring and viewership about seeing Hook come out. When you let a storyline cool off for more than 3 weeks, you forget about it. Out of sight, out of mind. The inconsistencies with these character growths and situations that we're supposed to care about on TV to want to continuously tune in just aren't there. There's no incentive for us to watch next week, because if this was we're going to keep getting, you see people tuning out week after week after week. So you could throw a million titles down. You could have everybody in AEW a fucking champion. It wouldn't matter at the end of the day if none of these guys are put in the position to really look like they're believable or credible into entertainers, man. And WWE, people don't realize how effortlessly we digest that when they put a lot of work into the people we see as their top stars. So unless that same care and development is going on over there at AEW, which it doesn't seem like, just seems like everybody's calling their own shots. And if Tony wants something to be told, he's going to tell them, and this is the storyline, this is how it is. And certain people have creative control and all that. You've got the inmates running the asylum, so to speak, without a set course of direction, which kind of Vince and his whole idea premise molded us into seeing on TV as this is the standard. We're not getting a standard redefined or remixed. We're just getting, hey, I did my best. Well, sometimes your best ain't good enough and you got to do better, because I honestly believe AEW could rival WWE on some aspect somewhere down the line if they just fix a few small things to me as a fan. Now they could tell me to go fuck off. Hey, Ricochet tells his fans to go suck dick. Fuck you, Trevor, lame ass bitch. But that's just
loved the toilet paper throws at him against the match with Ospreay.
Bro, I'm gonna keep it real. If Ricochet's getting this character over by making us hate him, he's doing a fucking great job, because I can't stand the son bitch right now.
No, I agree.
Don't give him a mic. Don't give him shit else. The only way you can redeem yourself is Samantha Irvin comes in there and is your manager. And we don't see that happening. Hey, but you never know. But honestly, like, he's doing a great job at pissing me the fuck off. And if this is on purpose and him being demeaned and cucked and bullied and punked on TV and shit, the only way this can come back for him in a good way, which is uncomfortable to watch, is somehow this is a ruse. He joins the Hurt Business, or I don't know. But the shit,
I think it's going to be the Don Callis family.
I hope so, because honestly, the shit that happened with him and Will Ospreay, ah, man.
This is what I'm talking about, though. Like I love the concept of the Continental Classic. That is one thing that I wish that the other companies would adopt.
The concept is great, honestly.
This entire style of tournament, I think, is so much better than one and dones. The ability to redo matches and have people have a second shot, and really to adapt and create more storylines behind a lot of different matches. Because I mean, you got a lot of them in this run alone, not just Ospreay and Ricochet. I mean, shoot, Kyle Fletcher and I think Daniel Garcia at the moment, who is also a title holder, mind you. Again, and that's the other thing too. Why are we having other title holders go for the Continental title when they already have a title? But again, I know they love
Eddie Kingston was a double champion when they started.
He was a triple title.
When they started doing this thing. So, you know,
That's
and shout out to Eddie Kingston. He's recovering right now from a very severe injury. So hopefully we'll see Eddie Kingston back, because we need somebody to take the strap or challenge Jon Moxley. That's a credible threat. Honestly, the title
outside
picture,
of Swerve, because Swerve just had it for a year.
You know, outside of just the few guys they presented, Daniel Bryan wasn't a credible threat. Orange Cassidy is no way a credible threat.
I'd love Moxley, to see MJF get another shot at it, but
at me as well. But honestly, Jon Moxley appears to be the most dangerous man in AEW, and a lot of people don't like the storyline and how it's being presented. If you look into the origins of the character, so to speak, that he's portraying in this attitude, it's from a British movie that involved a lot of skinhead affiliation and whatnot. And some people say like, it's just a little too uncomfortable to watch. Well, shit, we need something that's going to either scare the fuck out of us, make us question, is it real or not? Anything to help tune in another week to see where is this going, even if we don't like it. Keeping it real, just because you don't like something doesn't mean that you can't learn to understand it. And I'm just having a hard time connecting certain things in AEW, as most fans are, where there's drop-offs in storylines, where there's no consistency. And honestly, the announcing has got to change first and foremost. Tony Schiavone, you had your time. You're great. You're a legend. Kudos, all respect. You can tell me go fucking kick rocks, bro. But we need a refreshed announce team. We need some new guys. I see Taz has recently come back, but they've got to start thinking about the future of
Taz
AEW.
Also gets too involved in his son's matches. We need to separate Hook and his father.
That would also be something that needs to be snipped and clipped. But at the end of the day, if they're just going to keep doing what they want, who's going to tell them what they should? Especially when you've got a billionaire like Tony Khan that's calling his own shots, and basically, as much as he talks shit about Vince McMahon, is a current version of Vince McMahon right now. I'm not saying he's not listening to his fans. He is a fan. He's probably one of the biggest fans ever, with or without being Tony Khan. I'm pretty sure deep down in his heart, he really loves wrestling, but he is killing his own product. And I don't know if AEW will recover from certain things that have been done already and revitalize the same energy and excitement we had about when this product was literally at its peak in 2021.
No, absolutely fair. I will challenge that, though, and say that I agree that Tony's probably one of the biggest fans, and I give him credit for that. And if there is one thing that I give him credit for the most, is the fact that he puts forward what he needs to for this company. Obviously, with the media deal and whatnot, they're not going away for a long time. They're not, at least not until 2028. Because if Warner Brothers keeps him on on television until then, unless that entire situation gets canceled sometime between now and then, highly doubt that's going to happen, though, because as low as their ratings are, professional wrestling is still a money grabber, and they will absolutely ride that as long as they can.
Now maybe, hopefully, if we're lucky, Warner Brothers says, "Look, Tony, we're not liking what's going on. We're going to bring in some writers."
Yeah,
WWE's done it.
That's desperately what they need.
And
I
some
don't
of those
think it's the
writers
talent.
don't have experience with watching professional wrestling, but we could get with the talent that does and learn how to craft better storylines for you guys. And it honestly, wait a minute. I think it might work. Holy shit. I think it might work. If we just tried something a little different, maybe we could still put these banger quality matches on with nobodies and no names from YouTube all you want. I don't know who the hell this guy is with the boom and the chuckle double chuckle
Oh,
cookies.
the Rizzler and
We're not
I
no
don't
look.
even
See,
care.
that's the difference between
Big
AEW
Justice,
and
I think.
WWE. Logan Paul, Rizzler.
Yeah.
You
No,
got me.
absolutely.
You got me fucked up. You got me
No,
fucked up.
absolutely.
So
1000%.
I can't accept certain things that they allow to embarrass a product like AEW. That type of shit right there, I tune right the fuck out.
Again, though, this is what happened years ago with WCW when they were going downhill as well. Fans like us were screaming the exact same things. I would hope people like Tony Khan would actually realize the route that they're going, especially with the ratings going the way they are, because it is a steady decline. I don't want to go all the way through it, but every show has gone down in every quarter. It has not gone up once since, I believe, 2021. It steadily will continue to go down. Even the devout fans, I feel, are dying, much like ourselves. But realistically speaking, I'm going to present this question to you as well because we've brought this up already. Is the actual plan, or at least the way to fix this, to not mimic what the WWE does, but at least make some transitions towards that in a cinematic way? Because
Absolutely.
I don't think you
Absolutely.
necessarily need to get rid of the physical or more like, I don't want to say violent, but more physically active styles in which these guys go about it, especially if
Yeah.
your roster is going to be as big as it is, you're going to be
Yeah.
fine. But
Yeah.
realistically speaking, I think you do need to go talk to some of these guys and tell them, hey, you need to calm down on some of this. The
Yeah.
Sammy Guevara's,
Hell yeah.
I love
Bandito. Did you see what the fuck happened to
Bandito,
Bandito? Off a double drop kick.
Darby Allin, I love you to death, brother, but I feel
Please
like
don't
every
die.
match you're going
Don't
to
die.
die, and I don't want
Don't
to see
die.
that. And
Don't
that's what I'm
die,
saying. I
bro.
think you need to have a serious
I
conversation with a
felt
lot
the
of these
same
young
way
guys.
about watching Ric Flair wrestle into his fucking 70s. And now I have to watch this shit with Darby in his 20s and 30s.
And
I'm
he's
like, I don't want to see
literally
him die in the
landing
ring.
in ways that you would think like we're watching
Oh my
Jackass.
God.
And I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
I don't need that, man. But that's that's kind of the point I'm gonna make. I don't think that you necessarily need to change the more physical nature of what they're doing, although a lot of the counters into ridiculous moves gets stupid after a while, especially when your guy stands up and looks like an idiot for 10 minutes.
Yeah, counter after counter, kick out
However,
after kick out, finisher after finisher. I remember when a finisher was a finisher.
right now, systematically though, do you agree with me that they need to make a transition and fix the promo side of all of this?
Fuck
Stop
Lord,
going with
yes.
so much in-ring promo and go with more of a cinematic
Vignette style.
Exactly.
Okay,
Perfect.
I look, you see smaller business, you see smaller wrestling companies like House of Glory, Booker T's Reality of Wrestling, and so forth. And they still do vignettes in their arena shows. It may only be 2,000-3,000 people there, bro, but they still have something to show and introduce, maybe inform and educate people who aren't familiar with some of these guys on what the storyline is, what the setup was going on, instead of them coming out there. And some people aren't ready to speak in front of mass audiences. They're not ready to go ahead and polish. They're not already polished, so to speak, to have the cadence and carry the energy over that's believable of who they are to people that are just like, who is this guy? They can get that good practice in with those vignettes and even reissue them on social media, repush them on their social handles and whatnot to give some kind of open scape to tuning into this and catch me here and there, because AEW is just, we're watching guys that we don't even know come out to the ring and just talk a whole bunch of shit about some shit, and it's not hitting a point.
Well, see, and it's like I said, it's beyond that as well, because let's take into account the face-to-face between Adam Cole and MJF this past week. It was great, but here's my problem with it. It's still lazy writing. At least the entire storyline is lazy writing. Let's be honest, because, and I get that Adam has been trying to come back from the injury. I completely get that. But let's be honest, this is a match that should have happened months ago.
Yeah.
But
despite the
now,
injury.
despite the well, I mean, if he was good to go,
If
you
he
should have
was
made it work.
if he never would have got injured, I think we would have got a better conclusion to a storyline. And of course, we'd be somewhere else,
Right.
obviously.
But
But
you're forcing this DX style story
and it
between your
sucks.
version of Triple H and Shawn Michaels, and it's not
Yeah,
hitting right. And
yeah,
it's because it's coming to us so damn late. And for a pseudo championship, that doesn't matter. The
yeah,
ring does not come into play up until once a year. This is essentially their version of the Royal Rumble, saying you
yeah,
won the Royal Rumble. That's it. That's all this is. So it's not even
yeah.
for a championship. So what's the point?
Mhm,
Everybody's already forgot about that storyline. And
mhm.
like, we don't know what's going on between Adam Cole and MJF anymore. We don't care what's going on between Adam Cole and MJF anymore. Because I feel like if you went about this differently, gave us a couple of vignette promos, maybe something a little more cinematic to reignite the rivalry that we once knew. Like, you give us a really badass cinematic video of everything boiling up to this point. I
Well,
feel like we would actually give a shit about the match.
I would have to just go in and say like the reason why we're seeing it like this is because nobody gives a fuck. They're getting paid. They're like, we're gonna go out here, we're gonna do this. Tony's gonna tell us good job, and we're gonna continue to do this until our contracts are up and see what's going on.
I could see that being
Like
MJF's mindset.
and honestly, I hope MJF milks that place for every fucking dollar he's earned. And when it's time to come over to the WWE, because if he would have came over in
Look, brother.
2024, 2025, he would have got lost in the shuffle. Right now,
Yeah.
WWE is a currently evolving storm. And once everything settles and it's laid out, it's going to be a beautiful mess out there when they're on Netflix and everywhere and it's banging and booming. And let's just say Tony Khan does something that violates the contractual agreement of MJF's talent restrictions or such and so forth, or tries to add time to his contract for him missing time because he was doing movies.
Which you know he's going to do. He's already done it to Ray Phoenix for being
Come
injured,
on,
which is
come on.
horse crap.
Now, this thing could be a nuke that allows WWE to send those tendrils in there, those legal tendrils in there, and just separate MJF from AEW, and with no 90-day non-compete clause. And that would honestly be, oh God, how can I
Well,
put
but
this,
see, and
man?
let's say he
That
doesn't.
that would be the knife in the heart, the dagger in
Oh
the
yeah.
fucking heart, the
Oh
stake
yeah.
in the heart right
If
there with a
WWE took
twist.
back
And
MJF and Swerve, it would be dead.
come on.
It would, and John Moxley. Honestly, you could probably take John eventually.
You know, I don't
I'm
know if John
expecting to see
Moxley would.
Aleister back. I'm
Yeah.
honestly expecting to see Aleister Black in the Royal Rumble for the
Well,
WWE. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I would honestly like to see Miro.
Oh, that would be incredible.
If he comes back as Miro or Rusev Machka,
Oh,
I don't know if we're getting that.
If he comes out with Rusev, the wife got to come with him.
I
She got
don't
to come
know.
with him.
No,
I don't know if she would, but I would love to see them both
I,
walk out together.
well, that'd be cool, but honestly, after her,
I know, with
allegedly,
everything going on, I highly doubt that would happen.
I wouldn't do that to that man.
It's too much.
Hey, but you know what? When you paid to play, hey, you can make anything.
Actually,
Yeah,
just fun little thing here. What if we did get that and it was right after Cena came in? Because I'm not gonna lie to you, dude. That Rusev Cena rivalry back in the early 2000s cooked way better than people thought. I think that was one of the mainstays for Rusev's entire career. I really do.
Very much slept on. But I would have to agree with you on that aspect because there's a lot of surprises that are in stake for the future of AEW and WWE and their talent. But currently, just to say, the product is performing below average. The viewership is subpar. There's talent over there, but some of it seems directionless, aimless, and with just a little grooming, with just maybe a little more structure, I think AEW could be something truly that lasts a good 15, 20 years.
Oh, absolutely. I don't blame the talent at all either. I think the talent is great on the roster. And honestly, I think Tony Khan's heart is in the right spot. I really do.
But a lot of people have done a lot of fucked up shit with good intentions.
Yes,
So we got to remember that too.
No, and I agree with that. That's that you led to my point. Thank you. But that's also why I agree with you 1000% that they got to get somebody in here writing wise. I hope that's part of the media deal. I hope WB says, hey, we'll bring you in, but we're going to help you write too, and we're going to help you build this a little bit better. And if you are going to bring in a third show, let's leave Shockwave at the fucking door, and let's just give us Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
Just say
Come on,
Ring of
just say
Honor
Ring of
is
Honor.
this third show, and then separate the damn titles.
That's it.
That's the other thing that I need to say real quick too, because we gotta separate it and make it easier for the casual wrestling fan
to tune
follow.
In. Yeah, and just know, okay, so these titles are on that brand.
Right.
Those titles are on that brand.
When we watch SmackDown, you're not expecting to see the Intercontinental title be put up on the line.
Yeah.
And vice versa for Raw.
Or the North American Championship from NXT being defended on Raw out of nowhere without some reason behind it. Why is this champion here? Who are they challenging? And they've done it before successfully with what I'm just describing right now, man. Just a little bit of wear and care into the product of what they're putting out there, man.
Well, and it would make it easier for the story to be written, in my opinion. Fans would be able to know, okay, if I'm tuning into Collision, I'm going to see Jon Moxley. If I'm tuning into Dynamite, I'm going to see Daniel Garcia. You know what I mean? You would know who's on each show. I know that's really redundant, and I know WWE says, oh, there are 2 rosters. There's not 2 rosters. There's one big roster, but you have people on each show for that reason alone. SmackDown has never dropped beyond 2 million in the ratings. 2 million in over 4 years. You watch SmackDown because you know who is on it.
Yeah.
Cody, Roman, the Bloodline, the biggest show in wrestling. Boom. That's why
Sports Illustrated Story of the Year.
It is literally the reason why you watch SmackDown.
Shout out to Jacob Fatu getting Breakout Superstar of the Year.
Exactly.
Most
people watch Raw to watch what's going on with Rhea and Liv, or the Judgment Day, or Gunther, or Braun Breaker. We know who's on each show. It makes it easier to digest, and it just makes it easier to, again, leave us wanting. We don't need to be overfilled, brother. We don't need a third show. Now, NXT is nice, but it's like Kimball said, it's the developmental league. So you're really just watching the college kids who are going to be the next rounders. And I'm going to point that out as well. I'm okay if MJF rides out this contract with AEW, because think of it this way. MJF is still under 25.
Yeah.
MJF is
he's under 30. Yeah, he's under 30.
I'm sorry.
Under 30.
He's over 25. Yeah. He's under 30. That being said, much like Dominic Mysterio, we're going to see at least 10 to 15 more years of this cat.
Yeah.
So let's get his best years where he could be the best, which is WWE. And I think that is part of the deal as well. But
I feel it.
Before we wrap this whole thing up, I got one more thing that we got to talk about when it comes to AEW, because I read this online when I read about Rampage.
You remember how you felt when you first seen the AEW title?
Yes.
How beautiful that thing was?
Yes. It was fantastic, brother. That's what I'm saying.
Like,
there was so much promise.
What happened to that feeling, man?
They had reached 1 million people watching in 2021. It looked like it was finally going to reach us. Honestly, when they signed Will Ospreay in 2023,
I thought we was on the way back. I was like, AEW, hey, there you go.
When they signed Will Ospreay and Adam Copeland and all those guys in 2023, I genuinely sat there and said, "Oh my God, they're coming." But the point I want to get to, Tony Khan has been talking about taking the brand international. Now, I think that has to happen because of the WWE, and let's not sugarcoat it. The WWE, a vast majority of their viewers are international. They are an international brand. There are a shit ton of people watching around the world every single week, and that's for a reason. But that's the point I'm going to make to you. Do they kind of have to keep up?
I think they should just focus on the domestic market first before you get to an international market, which necessarily yields promise. They did good in the UK. They did great over there at Wembley Stadium. But consistently, that's a stretch. Now, Tony does have the financial backing to make that happen, but I don't feel like it's necessary right now when you are still losing on your front porch. You're still losing in your yard. You're growing, then you're not. You're developing, then you're dying. Once some consistency has been established and some wins on the business back end have been established, So we won't have these conversations. I think that's when AEW has won enough to go ahead and venture into the international market successfully. Now, they've got some wins, but nothing that would like rival what WWE has been doing. And it looks real good.
Absolutely. And you know what, like we said, at World's End will be happening this Saturday, live from the Additional Financial Arena in Orlando, Florida, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time start. I will be checking it out just because I enjoy the PLEs. But that is all we got for you guys this week in this episode. That is the state of the AEW right now. We will get you as much as we can going forward here. We've just had to talk about the whole Rampage thing going out. It's just big news. Again, I think we're both in the same boat here. I think you need to focus on the domestic side first, stick to 2 shows and build those 2 shows into a brand. And then you can maybe focus on the international side of it and getting the viewership numbers up. But at this point right now, I think they would just benefit from just sticking to the 2 shows and probably just building Dynamite as a whole, because that seems to be their flagship.
I would have to say the current state of AEW before we get out of here is one of hang in there. The fight isn't over. It has potential. It has potential.
It does. And if it doesn't, then I mean, WWE is just going to have a lot of people to pull and pick from, because you know damn well Will Ospreay, MJF, and all the rest of those guys will be definitely coming over to the WWE at some point in their careers. But as we sit right now, that is what we have to say about the AEW. Check out all our at World's End this Saturday. I believe it is. I don't actually know. It is pay-per-view, right? So you actually have to pay for that.
You have to pay to watch hot dog shit.
Well, I mean, again, you get the the Continental Classic finals, I believe, during this. Mercedes Moné is most likely.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animals.
I mean, hopefully you get some money from Santa Claus to be able to pay for that. But I mean, I'll be checking it out. Hope you guys will as well. You've been listening to the Early Bird Special. Thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, like, subscribe, share with your friends. If you liked what we heard or what we said, please let us know. If you don't like what we said, give us a thumbs down too. It doesn't matter. We'll take anything at this point. But we appreciate all of you for listening. We love the viewers going up.
Not anything. Remember what Orlando Brown said.
Well, okay.
I'm okay then. All right. So there we go.
All right.
Yes.
Fine.
All right.
Fair enough. I won't. All
right. All right, guys. There you go.
But until then, everybody, Merry Christmas. If you enjoy your holiday, I will check you guys in the next week. Peace out.
Peace. Happy holidays. Whole cakes.
This sound like Argentina. Had to fist my